Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the 15 before 11 a.m. edition. We're here, we're live, we're ready to talk to you. I'm here with Loren.
Hey,
how are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Yeah. It's been a good day. It's been a really fun day.
You know you're my barometer for the church.
No major issues,
yeah.
No major setbacks. We just have been having fun, and we put work into making it happen, and it pays off sometimes. So Brian Miller says, what's up? What's up,
hey.
Brian? It's good to see you in the chat. Thanks for joining us. We've got some fun planned, so make sure to share the stream. You're only watching on YouTube because we're not live on Facebook.
I'm going to share it on Facebook, though, so people have the link.
Yes, and I actually put a post.
Yeah,
so
I
put a post already that says we're only live on YouTube because we didn't want to go on Facebook with copyright. We have our kids, they are singing 2 songs, and it's going to be a really great time. The first service was awesome. My son Elliot was on there, Lauren's sons. And
they were so cute. All of them were. I mean, like, there's nothing better than a little children's church program, like Christmas program.
It's so great.
Cute. It is.
And I really didn't appreciate it until I had a son.
I know. And now you're like,
it's the best.
I know.
I know.
Right?
He's like, he literally looked at, I don't know, it was Rainer Reese, and he goes, that's my daddy. He literally said it like. I was just like,
so sweet.
It was the best. So I was sitting on the front row for that.
Oh my God.
I'm only on YouTube. I don't have Facebook, so it worked out perfect. But yeah, so if you're watching the auditorium, hope you're having a good morning. Thanks for being here. You can join in the chat on YouTube and share the stream as well. So question of the day, have you thought of any New Year's resolutions? We talked a little bit about this. What are some of the obviously the most popular are like fitness goals, trying to get in shape. I had one that I'm trying to be consistent with. But what are you thinking? Is there any other things that come to mind when you think of New Year's resolutions?
I should probably plan to be a little slower in my life.
That's a good one.
I just like to do everything, as you know, Josh. I like to do all the things.
Yep.
I like to have all the fun, and then I burn myself out because I overextend myself, and then I'm exhausted. I do it at work because I'm a teacher. I love my job. I sign up for too many things, and then I'm like going crazy. I do it at home. So I need to like schedule downtime. I need to like pick a weekend every month that we don't do, or like maybe like a morning every weekend that we chill. We don't do anything. It is just like calm time. Yeah,
so being slower in the new year.
I need to do that, absolutely.
One thing I was to say, and maybe this is just my observation, but you do like to have a lot of fun, you do like to do a lot of things, but you're not one of those people that if things don't go exactly as expected, you're so let down.
No,
that's what I think is hard for some people, is they want to do all of these things, they plan everything to a T, and then if something goes wrong, it's like, oh.
No, I don't really plan. I'm not a very good planner at all. I'm just like, and my husband's a lot better than that at that, but like, it is not unusual for us to leave church, and I'm like, oh hey, we're hosting brunch like right now, so come on, because I've just invited everybody over, and he's like, for real?
He's still with you after
he's prepared. It's been a long, we've been doing this for a long time. But anyway, I just need to, I need to just chill a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. That's good for everybody. Brian Miller said, I had a resolution years ago to not have resolutions.
Perfect.
5 years strong.
Perfect, Brian. That's awesome.
At least he stuck to it.
I know. Okay, I like Drew's more D&D. Play more D&D. I mean, that's a great goal. That is a great goal. Yeah.
One of those things that just lets you escape the reality and have some fun.
So you were talking in the last service about your goal is to be a little more consistent with your workout. So I do like to work out, but I'm just thinking about this from one of the sermons that Scott did a while ago now, but he just said, like, set small goals for yourself. And I was always kind of this mindset, if I couldn't devote an hour to working out, it was not even worth my time. And after that sermon, I just changed my mindset to 20 minutes. If I can get 20 minutes of movement, I'm okay. And
which is what I think health professionals say is like 20 to 30 minutes. If you can do that consistently, it makes a huge difference. That's
the thing. I do it so much more consistently because I don't feel, one, everybody's got 20 minutes somewhere. And two, I don't feel like a failure because I haven't put in an hour. Change the game. Like, I almost never miss a workout day now because I just got to jump in 20 minutes and then I'm done. You know, it's like, even if I'm just on an elliptical for 20 minutes, it's fine. You know.
I think that's great. I think it's
so little, right? One bite at a time. You're exactly right. Yeah.
Alex is on the money. He's already been a great chat host because
absolutely.
He's adding so many things.
20-minute hit. Small goals. Even if it's not, even if it's just the bike, the elliptical, whatever it is. That is 20 minutes of movement I didn't get. Before.
Start somewhere.
So,
well, let's talk about what's happening at Forest Park. We've got our kids program. You're going to see a preview of that in the service today. Once we're done here, once we stop talking,
a little snippet.
You got a little snippet. They're doing 2 songs today, and then they have their full-on Christmas Stellar program on Wednesday night at 6:30. So make sure you're here for that because it's going to be even cuter.
Are you going to stream it?
Yes, we are streaming it.
I mean, literally the cutest thing y'all have
It'll
ever
only
seen.
be on YouTube. So we'll share a link like we did today on Facebook. We'll share a link, but it's just the copyright thing. We're using songs from YouTube, and we just don't want to get taken down with...
it's going to be lit.
With the thing. It's going to be lit.
It's going to be so cute.
So yeah, make sure you're here for that. And then Christmas Eve services next Sunday, 9 and 11 o'clock. We're just having our normal times.
Christmas Eve is next Sunday, ready or not.
Loren, don't remind me of the craziness that the year flies by.
I'm a little bit panicky too. I'm like, oh gosh.
2024. And that's why we're talking about New Year's resolutions. It's just, it all starts to just happen, and then you're like, okay, we're in the new year. So we're excited about our Christmas Eve services. We'll have one service. Maybe I should say this. We're gonna have one service at 11 o'clock for New Year's Eve.
Oh, I didn't realize.
So the following Sunday.
Okay.
We try not to.
2 services for Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
1 service for New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Okay.
We try not to confuse people too much because then it's like, wait a minute, was it this Sunday or next Sunday that we're having one service? So we try to keep that to like the week of that we really start posting about it. But you know, you guys get the inside scoop. So,
it's good for planning too if you're
absolutely
going and doing something.
So we're going to talk about our game, which is Merry or Meh. You know, is it merry or meh? So we're talking about some traditions, talking about things that you do around Christmas time that are like supposed to be Christmassy, but you never know. Are they actually something that's fun and merry?
Or are they kind of lame?
Yeah, are they just lame? And we shouldn't even do this, you know?
Alex, I'm with you. I feel like it was just, I really feel like it was just August, and all of a sudden it's December.
Yeah.
Like it goes so quickly.
Yeah.
And I also think these months are kind of fun. They're they're busy. Like October's, anyway, there's just a lot of fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
So like boom, 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 boom. Like fall is a blink.
I think that you feel like every season is like, I just want to get to the next season. Like, oh, it's too cold, I want to get to spring.
Yeah.
It's too warm, I want to get to winter.
Right.
But like, if you try and take in the moment, it's so much better. It's just so hard to do that.
Yeah. It can be. Yeah, you're right.
I'm still shocked when it gets dark at 5 p.m.
I think that adds to the fastness of the time.
And
too.
We're all the way on like one side. I was looking at like the time zone stuff with like where we are. Some people, like, it's not as bad.
Right, like if they're further towards the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wish I was towards the center.
Yeah.
You know?
But then there would be no beach.
That's true, and I hate the beach.
Oh, well, never mind.
Okay, let's talk about some things we also like and don't like.
Okay.
Here are some things, and please let us know. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you feel about some of these Christmas-themed things? Watching Christmas movies in July. Does that make you feel merry, or does that make you feel meh?
I don't think I can get in the zone.
I can't either.
No.
I can't either. Like, I every time I've seen like the Christmas in July stuff, it's like, why are we doing
that?
this?
Yeah, I don't do that at all. Even with like the gifting and all that, I'm like,
I completely agree. I think now that we've decided on that, we can just abolish Christmas in July.
Yeah, I don't think that's... The only time I'm for that is when it's like Christmas in July and they like are like packing backpacks, they call it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're like doing
stuff
school
ahead
supply
of time.
drives and they just call it that. No, I'm not down for
I agree. I completely
celebrating
agree.
outside of Christmas time.
Consumption of candy canes. Just This is a simple one. Eating candy canes.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
Do you like?
I mean, I can't tell if you like mint things or not after you just.
Well, that was because I didn't want it in my mouth. I had a mint before, and I just put it right there, and I didn't want to be,
like
eating a mint. Yeah, I didn't want to be eating a mint while I was on this.
It was really funny.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
I think I'm hit or miss. I do like the colorful candy canes.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that are like
cherry and all that.
Cherry or rainbow.
But you know this, but you know I'm a coffee snob. I love coffee. I like peppermint mocha in my.
Oh yeah. I know.
In my
Ashton
coffee,
loves that.
and I'll like stir it with a candy cane. That's good.
Yeah. We have to acknowledge real quick, the kids are lining up behind us, and we're so excited.
And they're so cute.
They're going to do their 2 songs, and they're going to go into the service. How
They're all
great is
waving
this?
at us. That's so cute. Oh, hey, baby.
Hi.
There's mine.
Elliot's looking at the water fountain.
So cute.
Oh, I
so
love them so
stinking
much.
cute. I know.
So that you're getting to that in 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Never really gotten into the. Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
Holiday. Okay, this is a good one.
Okay.
Holiday decorations before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. So I am fine with that. Oh, hey, baby love.
Say hey to everyone on the camera.
Everyone.
You're famous.
All right, go be a good singer. Okay.
Drew says no immediately.
Yeah.
And Alex says I'm torn.
I don't care. I think it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter to me, especially because it's a lot of work putting out all the decorations. So I'd kind of like to do a little at a time.
Some people, I'm
yeah.
trying to say
I
hi.
know,
There
he's
he
like
goes.
not waving. He's not paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. My husband is a strict absolutely no, though. So,
So is that what you guys follow in the house?
yeah, because
So you
I don't care. I'm like not married to any of it. I don't really care. I'm like, okay, well that just means you're putting it all out the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
Some people leave it up all year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
How late do you leave the tree up?
I take it down the day after New Year's, and that's like a superstition thing. And I don't know where it came from. My like great grandma, I think she made it up, but it's bad luck to take it down before January 2nd. So I leave it because I need all the good luck I can get.
Yeah,
What about you guys?
I leave it up till like February.
Oh.
I mean, I just like, we're just gonna keep it going as long as we can.
That's
Once
so
February
funny.
comes and you start to get into Valentine's Day.
You're like, we're on a new holiday.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We gotta go.
So I don't know. Here we go. We have 2 minutes
Grinch
left.
tree. That's fun. Okay.
Ooh, I like a Grinch tree.
Yeah, I like the Grinch. What else?
Homemade versus store-bought gifts.
Both. Yeah, I'm not. Homemade gifts are so thoughtful to me.
They are.
They're so incredibly thoughtful.
Especially when it's something that, because you take a lot of time with those, you know?
And you know it's so intentional.
Yes, and you know, if you're broke, like when Ashley and I first started dating, I made her like ornaments from the like sugar dough, and we still have them on our tree today, you know, after all these years. So
they're just so meaningful, and like money is one thing, but time is something else.
True.
And so if somebody took the time to make something, like I have a younger brother, and he makes fishing poles. And you know, we fish a lot.
That's
so
cool.
he has made all of us fishing poles, and they're personalized, and it says like made by Dave, and like those are very meaningful.
That is a really cool gift to give somebody. I know things like I know somebody makes knives, like he makes like he makes the blades and all that stuff, and it's like it's just a really thoughtful thing.
Yeah, like you'll never regift that.
I know, that's true. You would never. We were talking about regifting.
Regift it.
You would never regift a homemade gift like that.
No, you keep it forever.
You might throw it away if it's not good.
White elephant gifts.
Oh, I love white elephant gifts.
Yeah, I think that's funny too.
Especially it's got to be done in a workplace.
Yeah.
You know.
We did a white elephant one time where the gift you brought had to be like kind of like junk around your house you would have taken to the thrift store.
That's cool.
So it was so funny. It was just like the dumbest thing that people were fighting over, you know. It was hilarious.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and it didn't cost anybody anything, which made it better.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, you're just like throwing all the
it was
spoons
like,
that you don't want.
Right. It was like Tupperware and just like junk.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, we've got 20 seconds real quick.
Oh, I forgot about the one.
Eating Christmas cookies. No, you're fine. Eating Christmas cookies for breakfast.
Oh, Yes, 100%. And I know your team because you're sweets.
I like sweets. Allison loves sweets, you know, and yeah, Christmas cookies are great. Bye, everybody. We'll have fun.
Great time.
Tell me why do we wait 364 days? We
All right, let's give everyone a round of applause again. They did so amazing. And let's give Allison, Chandler, our Kidventure director, a huge hand. She has worked so very hard to get these kids out here on Saturday mornings and practicing with them. That was amazing. It was so much fun. This Wednesday is the Mary Stellar Christmas program. That's what they said. If you didn't hear them, they're like, come see us on Wednesday. This was just a little sneak peek of what's to come for this Wednesday. It's 6:30 to 8. They all have like little different parts. My son Elliot is Ringo, and he has this thing, and he's been practicing. He's like, I am Ringo. So it is going to be a great. Allison has worked so very hard. We've been able to come out here sometimes on Saturdays and just take a little sneak peek of what's going on. So if you want to come out here, bring family, bring friends. If you don't have any kids or in the Kidventure program, if everyone is just aged out, that's perfectly fine. Come join, come see what's going on for the Christmas holidays. One last little hurrah before the busyness of the holidays. So yeah, we would love to see you guys this Wednesday, 6:30 to 8. If you guys can stand up on your feet, we are going to worship this morning. We are so happy that you guys are here with us, and Merry Christmas. Let's go ahead and put your hands together, church.
Our chains are gone. No weapon formed shall prevail. Your word is stronger. We overcome. Your glory resounds through the age. All saints declaring your great renown. Your kingdom forever will stand, and we won't be shaken. We will not fear. All right, let's sing this together. Our God, a mighty warrior, you're a consuming fire. In victory you reign. We triumph in your name. Jesus, the great commander, you conquered death forever. In victory you reign. We triumph in your name. All right, let's sing this again. Your glory resounds through the age. All saints declaring your great renown. Your kingdom forever will stand, and we won't be shaken. We will not fear. Oh, our God, a mighty warrior, you're a consuming fire. In victory you reign. We triumph in your name. Jesus, the great commander, you conquered death forever. In victory you reign. We triumph in your name. darkness fades into new beginnings as we lift our eyes to a hope beyond. All creation waits with an expectation to declare the reign of the Lord our God. Sing it out. And we will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Now the silence breaks in the name of Jesus, as the heavens cry, let the earth respond. And all creation shouts with a voice of triumph to declare the reign of the Lord our God. And we will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. And he shall reign forever, strongholds now surrender, for the Lord our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus our defender, he is Lord and he has overcome. He shall reign forever, strongholds now surrender, for the Lord our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus our defender, he is Lord and he has overcome. And we will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. Come on, church, sing it out. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. And we will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah.
Well, good morning again, Forest Park Church. Merry Christmas once again. We are so happy that you guys are here with us this morning and you chose to be with us this Sunday morning. We are going to continue worship in just a few minutes, but I just wanted to take this time to just pause and reflect on a few things in my life that will hopefully be an encouragement for you this morning. So in August of this year, my husband and I actually suffered our very first miscarriage, and it was an extremely dark time for the both of us. I have people in my life that has unfortunately gone through that as well, so I wasn't able to fully understand it until it happened to me, and I'm like, okay, now I know the pain, now I know the hurt and the darkness. But through that time, and honestly, up until now, I have really, really heavily leaned into the goodness of God and trusting that He is making a way for mine and Josh's future with our family. This next song that we are going to be singing for you this morning is probably one of my favorite worship songs of all time. It is just a steady reminder that He can and will do all things for the good in our lives as long as we have that trust and faith in him. And we may not see it, we may not feel it, and we may not even understand why the things happen in our lives. But I hope you can put just an ounce of faith and hope and trust into him, that he will be fighting for you and making a way for our future. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Sing that again. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Let's sing this together, church. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Sing this. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart, healing every heart. I worship you, Jesus. I worship you. Turn lives around. You are here. You're turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. And you are here. You're mending every heart. I worship you. Church, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. it out, church. Here we go. Waymaker, miracle worker, that is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. And even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. And even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. He's a waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. He's the light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Sing it out, church. And that is who you are. And that is who you are. That is who you are. And that is who you are. And that is who you are. And that is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Come on, church, with everything in you. Waymaker,
Miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God,
that is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. God, we come before you now. We can feel your presence in this room, Jesus. Like the song says, we may not feel it or see it or even understand it, but we trust you, God, that you are working behind the scenes for our lives and for our future. You know the hearts in this room. You know the burdens that they carry. You know the heaviness that they feel walking into a church building. I hope for just 45 minutes to an hour that they are able to just sigh into your arms, and that you can release the burdens from their shoulders for just a small amount of time. Just pray over the lives in this room. You know their stories. We know that you are working for our good. You keep your promises. You're making a way for our future. And in the darkness that we carry in our lives, you're the light. And we can have faith and trust in knowing that you will do exactly what you say you will do. And it's in your precious and holy name that I pray. Amen. Thank you, church. You guys can have a seat.
Well, good morning, everybody, and what a great day it's been listening for our kids and having some great worship. My name is Josh, and I just wanted to share a little bit about how you can get involved at Forest Park. And I got to sit down with our Kidventure director. Her name is Allison, and she is just a great testament to what it means to serve and give to Forest Park's mission. And she got to share her heart and her passion behind Kidventure, and I know that it will really connect with you. So I wanted to share that with you now, and then we're going to continue worship through giving. So let's hear just a little bit about Allison and her heart behind Kidventure.
My name is Allison Chandler, and I came to Forest Park in 2013 at the Christmas in the Park series. My daughter Loren had been coming to the church, and she brought me to that service. And being from traditional Baptist, there was a million questions about what am I supposed to wear, what am I supposed to do. But I came, and we were sitting underneath the pavilion, and Scott was preaching, and I couldn't tell you what he said. All of a sudden, the Holy Spirit, I was overwhelmed, and all I could do was cry. And Loren was kind of like, Mom, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing, just nothing. And I came that following Sunday just to see what it was about. And it was different from where I was raised. You know, the band and the music and the singing and the standing and clapping, and it was just not something that I was going to be comfortable with. So I decided I'd give it a second chance. And there's this one lady, Miss Brenda Simpson, I'll never forget her. She came and sat down next to me. And when she prayed, she spoke out loud, but it was to her and God. It was for no one else but her and God. And me being who I am, I finally told her, I said, Miss Brenda, I can't listen to you and Pastor Scott at the same time, so one of y'all got to stop praying. And from that point on, I have been at Forest Park. And then Loren got me into nursery. And it was great. One baby, one Sunday, 1 month, and here I am. Lots of babies, lots of months, and now I'm the Kidventure director. What makes our Kidventure unique is because I allow them to color outside the lines. And they ask questions, and this is a safe place, especially in elementary. They ask the hard questions. Things that I never learned when I was growing up, I let them explore. And if you don't explore the Bible, if I just tell them the Bible stories and don't let them ask questions or participate, then I've lost them. So it's just a safe place to learn the Bible and ask questions and color outside them lines.
Yeah.
We teach them, we love on them, we run in the rain with them, we do whatever is necessary to keep the parents in the big church and them back here, safe and secure and learning all about Jesus. The reward is watching these children grow in Jesus and grow in family and grow in just whatever you're doing in their classrooms. It doesn't matter if you greet them or walk by them, take the trash out. It doesn't matter to them. But we're raising them as volunteers. So if they see us doing it, they're going to want to do it.
So again, Allison is just a phenomenal volunteer leader. She is our amazing Kidventure director, and she would love to have you get involved with Kidventure this new year. And if you'd like to get involved, you can go to fplive.org/serve and fill out that form and check off Kidventure, and she will get in touch with you and start getting you involved in the wonderful work of serving our kids. So you can also just go and see Allison directly. If you see her in the hallway, just walk up to her, tell her that you want to get involved. She would love that. So now we're going to continue in our worship through giving. Again, thank you so much for your giving and your financial support of Forest Park. It's all possible because of your giving. All of this is funded by you. So we rely on your consistent financial support. And if you'd like to give, you can give cash or check in the offering baskets that are about to pass. And then I'll tell you about online giving in a second. So first, let me pray for the offering. God, thank you for Allison. Thank you for her heart and the amazing Kidventure team that we have to serve our kids, to love our kids. And thank you for this church and for the impact of everything you've done this year and for next year to come. It's in your son's name that I pray. Amen. Again, you can give with the cash or check in the baskets that are passing, and you can also give online by going to fplive.org/give. And you have recurring giving there. You can set it up one time or automate your giving. And we are just so grateful for you and for your support. So now we're getting into the next part of our series. So excited to hear it this morning. Thank you so much, Forest Park.
Good morning, everyone. Great to have you guys here today as we continue in our series, You Belong. Man, I tell you what, the kids did a fantastic job. I just love watching them sing. My grandson was up here as well, and it's always fun to watch them dance and sing and just have a blast. Wednesday evening is going to be so fun, so if you get a chance to be with us, I think you'll have a wonderful time. Also, Allison, man, what a video. 10 years this month she has been here at Forest Park, has volunteered and served and just made Forest Park so much better than it would have been without her. So it's so cool to watch that video of highlighting her and her work and service over the years. Well, we are in part 3 of the series You Belong. We're going to wrap this series up next Sunday morning, Christmas Eve. Over the last couple of weeks, we've looked at what it means to belong to the body of Christ, to one another, and to this local church. And we've looked at it through the lens of Christmas. If you were with us a couple of weeks ago, you know that I said the whole kind of basis of part 1 was when God announced the greatest news the world ever received. That's the God of the ages wrapped himself in human flesh and was conceived in the womb of Mary. When he announced that he did so first to shepherds, humble, lowly, poor, uneducated shepherds, which says a lot about who God is and how he includes everyone, even the weak and vulnerable, those without clout and influence, yet they belong. Part 2, last week, we said your individual story, as messed up as it might be, belongs in the overall story of God. We walked through one of the most clearest examples of radical inclusion, the lineage of Jesus recorded in Matthew, where God includes Judah and his brothers. Judah, one of the most un-Christ-like figures in all of the Old Testament, is actually included in the family line of Jesus. That lets us know even crazy, perverted, messed up stories like Judah's can belong. And now today, I'm going to do my absolute best to show you how not only do you belong in the body of Christ, not only do you belong to Forest Park Church, but you belong to a specific mission within the body of Christ. And that mission is to do whatever is necessary to let other people know they belong. When I was in college, I was willing to do almost anything in ministry except one thing. I did not want to become a pastor of a local church. I was willing to travel, lead other people to other countries, become a missionary, be a youth pastor, anything. But to me, the worst thing I could do with my life would be investing years straightening out hymnals and polishing pews and dealing with local church politics. Mainly because that reflected my experience with church. I grew up as a pastor's kid and a pastor's grandkid. And from my perspective, a pastor waded through choir robes and Sunday school material and paid bills and preached boring sermons to old people half asleep and constantly raised money through chicken dinner sales. And I simply could not imagine my life in a musty sanctuary and basement. But eventually, my eyes were open to what the church is about and how God originally designed the church to function. And when my eyes opened, man, I had a change of heart. And I became passionate about being a pastor of a thriving, growing, healthy church. My eyes were open to the power and to the beauty of a local church and what a church actually is. I began to see that a church is a community of people who follow Jesus and who love one another unconditionally. Now that I wanted to be a part of. I began to see church as a collection, a community of caring and loving people from different races, cultures, and social backgrounds, serving one another out of a desire to love and to honor God. I began to see churches as that revelation, I should say, is when I saw that adrenaline just shot through my mind and my body. And as a young man, I became convinced that healthy churches are the only way that this upside down world is ever going to see any hope. And now 30 years later, I am more convinced than ever that if we remain, and this is kind of the heart of today's message, so you got to get this. If we remain focused on our mission, if we remain committed to the church's purpose, we have the best chance of bringing hope to the most people out of all the other possibilities around this world. But, and this is huge, if we get off mission, if we lose focus, we drift slowly toward being ineffective. If we do not intentionally resist mission drift, Forest Park will slowly glide the way of most churches, and I've seen it all across our country. Churches that started out with passion, started out with, celebration, started out with reaching people, slowly drifted toward being ineffective. And there's two words that I use to describe how a lot of churches end up over time. The first word is complexity. What do you mean? The church just becomes filled with red tape and committees and policies. If you want to make a decision, you got to wait 6 weeks for somebody to meet and make a decision that you can do X, Y, and Z. If you want to do this over here, well, we're not too sure about that because if we do that, this family might be offended or that family might be offended. So we're going to have to use politics and try to wiggle our way through making all these. The church just becomes complex. I grew up in churches that were very complex. It took forever to make decisions. Another word that I use to describe a lot of churches is insiders. They're just focused on insiders, the already convinced, those who ought to be mature enough to feed themselves and care for themselves. They aren't. 20 years later, they're still not mature enough to take care of themselves. And the whole church is focused on those inside the building, all the convinced Christians. Basically, when a church loses sight of its mission, it falls prey to keeping insiders happy. Let me make it very clear from the beginning of this message. Church is not about keeping insiders happy. Well, Scott, what does keeping insiders happy look like? It looks like this. The leaders become concerned with what this person says or how this family feels rather than what is the right thing to do and what is the most effective way to reach people with the good news. It becomes about keeping people rather than reaching people. But the mission Jesus gave his followers was not about staying in your churches and keeping all the Christians happy. It was about going into all the world and reaching people and making disciples of all the nations. And in order to fulfill that mission, we have to reach those outside the church, not entertain those inside the church. Luke 15, probably one of my favorite chapters in all the Bible, tells 3 back-to-back stories. Jesus, he just boom, 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 hit 3 different stories that all had the same message. He tells the story of the lost coin. He says if a person has a very valuable coin, this lady loses the coin, what will she do? She will turn the whole house upside down trying to find that valuable coin. And when she finds it, she will celebrate that she found the valuable coin. He then goes right into the next story, and that's the story of the lost sheep. This farmer has 100 sheep. One sheep gets lost. What does the farmer do? He leaves the shepherd. He leaves the 99 sheep that are safe and secure, and he goes after the one sheep who's lost. Then he tells probably one of the most famous stories ever, the story of the prodigal son. This man has two sons. One son stays home, one son leaves. The son who leaves goes out and spends his money and gets himself in a mess of trouble. But eventually the son comes home, and when he comes home, what does the father do? He throws a party. He celebrates that his son who was dead has now been made alive, resurrected. He's been lost, and he is now found, and he celebrates the homecoming of his son. Those three stories back to back, the mission is clear. Basically, whatever it takes, look for, go after, love what is lost. Why? Because in each of these three illustrations Jesus gives in Luke 15, what was lost was valuable, and until it was found, until it was rescued, until it returned, little else mattered. And that passion to find what was lost emerges from a heart of love and compassion. And one thing is clear throughout the New Testament: God is love. He does not just have love. He is not a deity that contains love or part of himself has love. No. Scripture defines God as God is love. It is his very nature. He is the embodiment of love. And if I have something and I love that something, and that something that I love gets lost, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to go find that something. I cannot even imagine if one of my kids were lost. What would I do if one of my children became lost? What would I do if one of my 4 grandsons were lost? I would turn everything upside down. I would press stop on everything else in my life. I would spend whatever kind of money I had to spend. I would do whatever I had to do to go find what I love, because what I love is lost. Some of you might not be able to identify with that illustration. So imagine your iPhone is lost. What would you do to go find your iPhone? Folks, if I have that much passion, and I am a fraction, a billionth of a fraction of the kind of love God has, then how much love must God have? And what is he willing to do to go after whatever is lost? And that message, God is love, changes the world. And that message, God is love, ought to fuel the church. But this is not the way a lot of churches think. When I was 18 years old, I picked up a book by A.W. Tozer and read one line in his book that challenged me deeply. The most important thing about you is not your weight or your education or your career or your salary or where you live or whom you marry. The most important thing about you is what comes into your mind when you think about God. Why? Because what you imagine when you think about God operates like software behind the scenes. What you think about God changes and affects how you interact with people, and who you welcome and who you don't, and who you include and who you exclude. What you think about when you think about God affects your morals, and if you have objective truth or subjective truth, and do you give, do you not give, do you serve, do you not serve, what do you do with your time, what do you do with your talent, what do you do with your money? Everything is affected by what comes into your mind when you think about God. And the most important thing about a local church is the image of God that a church embraces and proclaims to its community. Why? Because what we think about God as a church operates like software in the back of our minds. So what our staff thinks about, and what our volunteers think about, and what our members think about when we think about God affects everything that we do in this church. Where we put our money, what we preach, what we sing, how we interact with people who show up on Sunday morning. Every single thing we do at this church is affected by what we think about when we think about God. And some of us grew up in churches presenting God as kind of like the classic grumpy old man in the neighborhood. That's the image we have when we think about God. Man, whatever you do, don't lose your ball in his yard. And I heard 2 kids went over the fence to get their ball, and they never came back. The old man is looking through the blinds, looking to see who's going to hit in his yard. That's the image we have of God. That's the way some churches present God. God is the grumpy old man watching everything you do and doesn't want you to have any fun, and if it's fun, it must be wrong. Get out of my yard, you pesky kids. That's the image that some people have of God. Let me kind of illustrate how I saw God for many years when I was a kid. Probably lend to why I didn't want to become a pastor. When I was a kid, God was like an old family friend my family would visit every few months or so over in Ohio. My stepfather grew up there, and so we had friends there, family there, and every few months or so, my mom and my stepdad and myself, we would get in a car, and he would drive us over to Ohio, and we would go visit this family friend. And I did not want to go to this house. I did not want to visit this family. They were much older than my parents, and their house was, you got to be respectful when you walk in, and it was super quiet, and it was clean, and it was organized, and it was obvious no kids lived in this house. And when everybody would kind of get quiet, you could hear the grandfather clock ticking, just tick, tick, tick. And I just remember sitting there as a child so bored. I just wanted to run, I wanted to play, I wanted to, do something, and my parents wouldn't let me get off the couch because no doubt I would break something, and I wanted to break something. I wanted to have some tension release in this house because it was so quiet. And for a lot of people, that's the way they see church. That's the way they see God's. It's God's house. You got to go and be respectful. So parents will say to their kids, okay, get your clothes on, we got to go to church. The kid's like, why do I have to go to church? We're going to God's house, that's why. Well, I don't want to sit and be uncomfortable the whole time, Mom. It doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable. We're going to church. You're not supposed to be comfortable. It's not about you, it's about God and God's house. You're supposed to sit quietly and listen to the preacher. Well, Mom, I don't understand what he's saying. It's a sermon, sweetheart. You're not supposed to understand what he's saying. That's the way a lot of people experience church. For many people, boring, unhealthy churches presenting God like a grumpy old man or like the home of a distant friend formed their image of God. That's how they see God. And how you see God affects everything that you do in life. Where you give your money, where you spend your time, how you live, what you choose to entertain yourself with, how you live, everything is affected by what you think of when you think of God. So a mom and dad, this is kind of the experience that I've seen so many families have. Some of you right here, you're going to identify with this. A mom and dad drag their kids to church. This little boy, we're going to church today, and he's bored and he's confused and he's uncomfortable, but they would go anyway. Year after year, these kids go to church. Year after year, these kids go to church. The boring churches, churches without a mission, churches focused on insiders, churches about politics, churches about red tape and committees, no mission, no real drive to reach people. Just this church exists like the old grumpy man, and the kids go to that church year after year after year, and then the kids grow up. And you know what they do when they grow up? They walk away from church. Now they don't have to go. Now mom and dad doesn't make them go. They can drive on their own, and guess where they go? They drive a long way from church. But then what happens, and I've been here long enough to see this over the years, the kid goes to college, starts a business, gets married, has kids, and they realize at some point that life is a whole lot more than what they thought it was. And maybe they develop an addiction, or their first marriage is busted. Maybe they start suffering from depression, and they start rethinking life. And they don't know what to do now. You know what they're not doing? Not going to church. Been there, done that, didn't work. But somebody invites that person to Forest Park. And they show up on a Sunday morning. And when they do, I don't want them to experience a musty, stale, red tape, committee-driven, boring church just like they left when they were teenagers. I want them to meet Jesus. And I want them to find hope and peace and healing and wholeness in Christ. And for the first time, their eyes are opened and their mind is expanded and their heart overflows. And finally, Jesus reveals who God actually is. And God changes that young man's life. That's what I want. Introducing people to Jesus, why is that important? Because the central reason Jesus came was to reveal who God is and to lead us out of darkness into light, out of bondage into freedom, out of ignorance into truth. God wrapped himself in human flesh, lived among us so that we could finally see God and figure out who he is and what his heart is about and what his passions are and what he cares about and what he loves and what he doesn't love. And Jesus came to reveal that God to us and correct the distorted views we had of God. That's Christmas, my friend. That's what Christmas is about. Christmas is about finally being able to have a right relationship with God, so that we could carry the right image of God to the ends of the earth and let other people know they also can have a right relationship with God. That's what Christmas is about. It's about God coming into our world, wrapping himself in human flesh, and showing us for the first time who God actually is. And what did Jesus reveal about God? What did he tell us? Jesus revealed above and beyond any other attribute, far and away from any other lofty idea. Jesus revealed that God is love. John 3:16, probably the most famous verse in all of Scripture. If you don't even know this verse, go to a baseball game, go to a basketball game. Somebody's going to hold it up or something, and you just read John 3:16. What does it mean? It says, for God so what? Loved the world that he what? Gave his one and only Son. For God so loved the world, not so hated the world. It doesn't say for God so hated the world, he came down here and straightened all of us out. It doesn't say, so God so condemned the world that he came down to make sure that we knew we were wrong. It doesn't say that God was so frustrated with the world that he came down to correct everybody's theology. It doesn't say any of those things. It says God so loved. It was love that motivated Christmas. It was love that motivated him to come and to give. And how did God show his love for the world? He gave. He gave. And what did he give? Himself. How? How did he give himself? By accepting people? By loving people? By including people? By creating pathways for people, and he did it all the way to the cross, eventually dying for people. And while he was on the cross, even the people who nailed him there, put him on the tree, put the crown of thorns on his head, beat his back to a pulp, all of the things that happened on the cross, even while he was hanging on the cross, bleeding profusely, he looked to the people who were standing around, and even in that moment, he continued to give forgiveness to those who did this to him. All people. The good, the bad, the weird, the confused, the broken, the religious, the indifferent, the people other people feared, the people other people rejected, all of it. Matthew 9. As Jesus sat down to eat in Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners joined Jesus and his disciples at the table. But when the Pharisees, aka insiders, it doesn't mean every insider is a Pharisee, but play along with me. But when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? Why does your insiders eat with outsiders? Why is it that those who are religious eat with those who are not religious? Why is it that those who are already convinced of the truth eat with those who are not yet convinced? Why are you mixing all of this together? What's the big deal? Now, in our world, you know, if you're going to eat a cheeseburger, you probably don't care who's sitting around and who you're at the table with. But in this particular culture, eating with people mattered. Within Jesus' culture, people ate with friends. Eating with someone was a gesture of intimacy. It was a gesture of trust. One did not sit down and just eat with anybody. Eating with someone said, I want to be your friend. I want to enter into a relationship with you. And because Jesus accepted the tax collectors and the tax collectors and sinners embraced Jesus and invited him to their home to eat with them. So it was both back and forth. Jesus invited them, and then they would turn around and invite him. Luke 15, I didn't put this on the screen, but Luke 15:1 says, all the tax collectors and sinners were gathering around Jesus to listen to him. You know what that tells me? Whatever message he had, the tax collectors and sinners must have loved it, because they would constantly gather around Jesus to hear more about what he had to say. Verse 2 says, the Pharisees and legal experts were grumbling. It still happens today. Hey, do you know who's going to Forest Park? Hey, do you know who's actually attending? Hey, do you know who's on the worship team? Hey, do you know who's part of the greeting team? Hey, do you still grumbling and complaining about outsiders getting involved in the church? It happened then, it happens now. Verse 2 says, the Pharisees and legal experts were grumbling, saying, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Like, oh, that's a horrible thing. That's what they said. What's interesting is Jesus went out of his way to make outsiders feel like insiders. He intentionally broke tradition. He intentionally extended a hand of friendship to outsiders, people the insiders rejected. And he did it over and over and over again, and it ticked the insiders off. But Jesus went further. He didn't only eat with the outsiders, but Jesus also went so far as to lay his life down for the outsiders. 1 John 3:16, this is how we know love. 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 Say it over and over and over until you realize that this is the definition of love. Here it is. Jesus laid down his life for us. That's love. And we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. He taught us to love, and we are to love. John wrote this, 1 John 3:16, later in his life. I can imagine when John, he's called the apostle of love because of his emphasis on love. I can imagine John throughout his younger years when he first encountered Jesus, he thought he understood love. I can imagine John said something like this: I thought I knew love. I thought I understood what it meant to love someone. I didn't. I had no clue. I thought love was just being kind or showing compassion, but it wasn't until I met Jesus that I learned what love is. And now I understand what it means to love someone. Love goes far beyond emotion, far beyond a feeling one feels. No, love sacrifices, love gives, love hurts, love lays down one's life. That's love. The greatest expression of love is giving. So we love when we give. What do we give? Our money, our time, our gifts, our abilities, our very lives, so other people can live. Love is expressed when those inside the church give to those outside the church. We lay our lives down for those who are not like us, who are different than us, who see things differently than we see them. That's when we move into the arena of love. The greatest expression of love is not loving insiders loving insiders. The greatest expression of love is not when Christians enjoy being around other Christians. The greatest expression of love is not when you do what you enjoy doing. The greatest expression of love is when insiders love outsiders. It's when Christians eat with non-Christians, inviting them into and loving them. When Evan, my son, was 3 years old, he had a small plastic basketball goal in his room. Some of you know what I'm talking about. It's a little rim, a little plastic goal, a little Nerf basketball. And I'd be working on something or, something I was doing for another job. And he would come up and, Daddy, I want to play basketball in my room. And I'd be like, okay, but I'm busy. I got this going on. Oh, Daddy, come on, please. I didn't want to quit what I was doing. I was trying to get finished. I wanted to, help Lana prepare dinner. She was working all day. I was working all day. We only saw each other in the evening and all that, but he would beg and beg and beg, and of course, a father's heart. So I'd go in his room. We'd close the door. For about 2 hours, man, we'd play. I'd throw him around and basketball, and I always let him win. He would always end up winning at the end, and he loved it. And I did it. Why? Because I found joy in his joy. When I was a child, I used to go to my grandmother's house and tear it up. I mean, tear it up. I'd pull out her pots and pans and cushions off the couch and quilts out of her closets. I mean, if you visited her, you knew if I was there. We didn't have iPads and computers and everything else. You had to go find something to do. And I found something to do every time I went to her house. I'd bring out spoons and banging them on the pots and make drums and everything else. And she let me. I'd tear everything up and she'd clean it all up after I left. You know why? Love. Evan messed up my schedule because I loved Evan. My grandmother's house was messed up because she loved me. Love sacrifices. Love gives. Love allows itself to get messed up. And my passion for Forest Park is to allow those whom we love to mess us up. You know what that means in a church setting? It means we change our schedules to accommodate those who are outside. We get our checkbooks and we say, how much does it cost to reach people? And we write a check for it. And we do, hey, where can I serve? Where can I give? What can I do? Let's mess everything up if we have to, because we're going to love those who are outside. Whatever we got to do to meet those people where they are, let's meet them. But too many churches function like a people inside the church matter more than those who are outside the church. Insiders-focused churches cater to people who are already convinced and ignore or pay little attention to those who do not believe, who doubt, or who are confused by church and Christianity. I don't want to be that church. I've seen too many churches go that way. I don't want to become a church focused on making sure you who are already convinced, those of you who already say you follow Christ, all it's about making you happy. I don't want to be a part of a church like that. I don't want to lead a church like that. You don't have to come here to hear great sermons. They're everywhere. You don't have to come here to hear great music. It's everywhere. You don't have to come here to consume what we offer. It's everywhere. We have a mission here, however, and that's to reach your family and your friends and help other people who are not connected to connect, and people who are hurting to find healing, and people who feel hopeless to have hope. That's why we exist. That's why we say show up. That's why we say give. That's why we say join our worship team, get on the First Impressions team, get into the nursery. Help us accomplish a mission. If we don't have a mission, let's close the place down. That's how I feel about it. Mark 2:17, Jesus said, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick, they are the ones that this is about. I didn't come to call the choir. I didn't come to call the Sunday school teachers. I didn't come to call the already convinced. I didn't come to call the Christians. I came to call those who are sinners, those who are in need. It's no wonder why Jesus ate with people who were outcasts, spoke with those who were far from God, rubbed shoulders with the broken, lost, and confused. He was on a mission to reach those outside the established religious elite. For the Son of Man came to seek and save, what? The lost. The what? The lost. He came here for a purpose. What was the purpose? To seek and save the lost. The lost. It was about reaching the lost, the coin, the sheep, the son. It was about reaching those who are broken and lost and outside. That's what it's about. Forest Park is passionate about reaching people who are far from God. Behind every message that I try to present here, it's about that. That's why we talk about depression and hurting and brokenness and addictions. That's why we are always talking about marriage and relationships and friendships and trying to help you discover a purpose in life that's beyond what you see in front of you. That's why we're talking about all the things we do here. Why? Because we're on a mission to seek and save that which is lost, that which is lost, that which is lost. Why? We love people. That's why. And people are messed up. Come on, that was a perfect time to say amen. Certainly I don't have to spend 20 minutes convincing you of that, do I? People are confused. People are broken. People think life is better without God. We're no better. We sin. We're deeply flawed. We're selfish. Every day we need God's grace just as much as anybody else. And we want to demonstrate a love and a grace so encompassing and so powerful that God is seen in and through us. We want people to experience God's love, His acceptance, His compassion, even if they reject it, even if they mock it, even if they walk away from it all. We still want to extend it over and over and over. So you know what that means? It means we don't expect a lot from those outside the church. When people outside the church come in, people who don't believe come in, people who are living all kinds of different ways that you might not agree with, people who vote differently than you do, people who see life differently than you do, and they walk in, we don't expect a lot. They can sit where they want, sing only if they feel comfortable, come late, leave early, act like outsiders. Don't expect a lot from them. But here's where it gets sticky. Here's where it gets sticky. We expect a lot from those inside the church. You. If you're here this morning and you say, I'm a follower of Christ, if you're here this morning and you say, I'm saved, whatever word you want to use to describe your relationship, if you're here and you say you're inside the church, then we expect a lot from you. We expect, you know what I mean? We expect you to change your preferences to accommodate